Hey, Howard.
In case you need a lawyer, here's my business card. I'm attorney Howard Ankin.
Oh, hey, Howard.
If you or someone you know has been hurt at work, Ankin Law can get the medical bills paid, the lost wages reimbursed,
Oh, hey, Howard.
and the compensation you deserve.
Hey, Howard.
We're one of the largest filers throughout the state of Illinois of workers' compensation claims. We're here to help. Call 312-6-million. Injury law made personal, that's Ankin Law.
When we preview that series in the next podcast episode, it's going to be a continuation of this conversation of why are the White Sox struggling so badly to hit on the road. In road games this year, the White Sox are only averaging 2.87 runs per game. Their team batting average is 220. Their on-base percentage is 289, and they're slugging just 333. Manager Will Venable, in his post-game scrum, he got ejected on Sunday very early in the first inning, arguing balls and strikes in the strike zone. But said after this series against the Rangers, a little bit of frustration that they're not drawing walks like they usually do. So when you look at their home splits, the batting average, not a big difference. The White Sox are batting 225 at home. Their on-base percentage, though, is 301, and they're slugging 355. And on average, they're scoring 4.09 runs per game at home this season. So that's a pretty big divide, Jim, between what the run production's on the road and their run production is at home. Any ideas on why the White Sox are performing so terribly offensively away from right field?
My thinking, yeah, I guess it's two things. One, it could be like the least valuable cheating scheme ever. The trash can banging scheme, like, oh, we got to get to 55 wins this year. Like, yeah, probably not. Also, at right field, you could hear it a lot better than you probably could at Houston. When
if that was the case, do you think anyone gets suspended? Do you think anyone gets fired?
Bless their hearts.
Major League Baseball just show pity on the White Sox?
Everybody gets one game. Just like, why even doing this? So it could be that, or the more realistic explanation is maybe it's the trajectory machines that they have at home and not on the road. We know that from the spring, how many players on the team were machine addicts, like in terms of how much time they were accruing on these machines. I think James wrote that they were fourth overall in the league, according to Traject, and a couple of teams had two machines. So the fact that the White Sox are doing nearly as much on one, logging as much time versus other teams that had two, perhaps that's a big dent in their pregame preparation. These machines basically simulates what pitchers are throwing, how with video screens and how the ball is coming out of their hands. And so maybe it's just really valuable training for them to read pitches and get a much better idea of how pitches are going to be breaking right before they see it in the game. So, when you look at the way they struggled against Texas, just basically being shut down until the bullpen came in and then finally starting to sequence decent at bats, aside from the one inning against DeGrom, that was a minor miracle. That's really my leading thought, is that the machines that they have at home and are too complicated to break down and bring, with you and set up elsewhere. Like, they basically have to be stationary machines. The White Sox, given that they are a bunch of fringe players who, starters might not be starters on other teams. The bench players might be on other teams' AAA rosters. In order to maximize their talent, like, they have to log the time they're logging, and maybe it pays off at home, but when they have to go on the road and they don't really have that, and they're trying to figure out how to, they maybe look more lost than they would having this fresh simulation ahead of them right before the game. That's really the only, aside from like sample size, weird aberration, which you can always do after like 70 games, split in half. It just could very well be the case. If you're looking for a reason, potential explanation that's not that would be my best guess.
Now, the White Sox are not a very good team on the road this year. So the more home games that they play, the more hope that they will instill in us that things are getting better. I mean, we were trying to be optimistic in our previous podcast episode after the series against Houston, where they played the Astros tough. And in a way, they played the Rangers tough. It's 2 1-run losses. In the first game, they only lost by 2. So it was a close series for the White Sox, but they're still swept. It kind of follows suits this weekend around Major League Baseball. 9 teams were swept this weekend, which is crazy to see that many sweeps in one weekend. But yeah, the White Sox are now 4-19 in one-run games. They got to figure that out, and they got to figure out how to score more runs on the road because they're not a very good offense to begin with. They're really not a good offense on the road. And the more road games that they play, the more it's going to help me with the steak dinner bet. But I'd like to see a little bit more offense from the White Sox. But again, the next 3 games are going to be at home. Thank you so much for watching this Sox Machine video. Make sure to subscribe to the Sox Machine YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sox Machine. You could also listen to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify, and follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at Sox Machine. You can follow us on Blue Sky at SoxMachine.com. And special thanks to our partner, Ankin Law, for sponsoring this video.